Hey folks, let's talk about the different types of rasps that you can buy. And I'm going to do a comparison because I've gone through several different types of rasps. Um, I use a rasp as a club maker for shaping the heads, and it's really one of the primary tools, if not the primary tool, for shaping the head. But you can also use it for things like shaping a ball and claw foot, something like that, along with maybe a spoke shave. You can't use it to make the ball, but to shape this portion here. And of course, you can use it to shape a number of curved items like chair backs and things like that. So we'll talk about the different brands of rasps. I'm not sponsored by any company, but there are machine cut rasps, and this is one made by Narex. You can see how the teeth are all spaced, kind of alternating. There is a hand stitch rasp. And this is by a company called Liogier in France. There's another company in France called Oreo, both hand stitched. And the hand stitching, they say, creates an irregular pattern on the teeth, and which actually creates a more consistent, smoother pattern than this. Now these are alternatives to traditional type of rasp. This is called a Shinto rasp, and this is a bunch of hacksaw blades kind of intertwined, and there is a coarse and a fine. You can just flip it over. Now this is the model with a handle on that's in line with the rasp. They also make another one here, which I've used. I actually just bought the one I just showed you for $22 over at Woodcraft today. It's essentially the same as this, but this is a little more awkward. Your hand's out of the plane of the file. So when I saw this on sale, I bought it. This is called an Iwasaki, a Japanese company. It's more of a file or a float. You can see the teeth are kind of like little chisels here. And that's actually a flat fine rasp. I don't have the equivalent in a flat rasp for the Iwasaki, but I do have, you can see the teeth pattern on the coarse curved rasp made by Iwasaki. So these are the various ones we'll do a comparison of. So let's start with this Narex machine cut rasp. I'll take 5 passes. Try to use the same amount of pressure in all of the rasp. 1, 2, 3, 5. So that's 5 passes. You can see made a lot of scratches. We'll see how much it actually removed compared to the other ones. Now let's move on to the Shinto rasp here. Same amount of pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So to me, it seems like it's grabbing more. It's not skating across. I think that's one of the things you can actually feel and get an idea. You kind of sense when wood is being removed by how much it's grabbing. So it leaves certainly a smoother surface. So that's the coarse one. Let's do the fine. Definitely creates a finer cut, not removing as much material. Here's the Iwasaki file, float, chisel, or sorry, rasp, whatever you want to call it. It's the same on both sides. The nice thing about the Iwasaki is it has a safe edge. So if you're trying to work in some kind of a recessed pocket and you don't want that vertical wall to be damaged, so if you want to clean up the flat surface of this mortise for the horn, and you don't want to damage this back wall, you use a safe edge file or rasp, and that can fit in there nicely, smooth that surface down. I also use this for shaping because it's a finer file, I'll shape this end grain. It tends to work nicely for that. So this isn't going to cut nearly as well because it's a fine file. But let's switch over to the coarse. It's kind of unfair though because this is going to hollow out, but you kind of get the idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a much smoother pattern here for both of them. And there's very little, it's almost like little chisels going across, so you're not really getting any scratch pattern like you would with these kind of needle-like teeth. And finally, let's move on over to the number 8 Liogier. You can see it's a number 8 here. So that's called a second cut. Typically, they want you using a rougher file or rasp first to shape things. Go to the second cut, and then the finer rasp for the finishing. So a number 1 through 4, I think, is a coarse, and then I think the above 10 or so is a finer cut. So this is a number 8. Let's do 5 passes. So I feel like it's really engaging into the wood. To me, this just feels like a sports car responsiveness compared to all the other rasps. Maybe the Iwasaki, it has some response to it, but the other rasps, I just don't feel the wood. You know, you play the forged clubs and the cast clubs. I guess they make that same argument. I just have more feel with this and more responsiveness. The balance is very nice on this. So let's look at the difference here. You could see that's the Liogier. Now you might not get a sense of how aggressive it's cutting. So let's move this onto its edge, and we'll compare the three here: the Liogier, Shinto, and this machine made. Okay, so what we'll do is take 10 passes with this rasp here, the Narex. It's not very scientific, but I'm going to try to use the same amount of downward pressure and forward force. We'll do 10 passes. I'll go mostly straight, but a little slight diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 passes there. Let's move on to the rough Shinto rasp here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 there. And then let's move along to the French rasp, the Liogier. So let's compare here. So if you look here, you can see same amount of effort, and I'm getting, even though this is considered, the Liogier here is considered a second cut rasp, I'm actually getting more depth with the same amount of effort. Here, the Narex, a lot of effort. It is slightly wider than the other ones, but yeah, you just don't feel like grabbing like you do with the other two. So, in terms of cost, these French rasps are very expensive. Expect to pay between $80 to $140 for one rasp. So that's very, very pricey. But to me, if you're doing a lot of work like chair legs and golf club heads, I think it's worth having one rasp. I like the number 8. So my combination is I use the Shinto rasp for very rough work. This I use to create scratches on wood. It's more decorative at this point. So that belongs there. And really I kind of use these 3 rasps, but all for different reasons. So rough shaping, kind of the meat of the shaping here, and then this is for end grain and working the mortise. Another benefit of the Shinto rasp, as the instructions clearly say in beautiful English, craft of metals as iron, copper, aluminum, effectable. Craft of lumbers, effectable. So you can use this to shape this poured metal in the back of the club, and I do use it for that. All of these cut on the push stroke, even the Japanese ones. You can see that the way the teeth are oriented, they cut on the push stroke just like a Western saw would. You got to be really careful with the Japanese hammers though, because they hit on the pull stroke. You might get injured pretty badly. So, in summary, if you're interested in club making and you're just starting out, you don't have any rasps, my recommendation is to get one of these Shinto rasps. It gives you kind of a similar feel to this, but not quite. So this is a this is a Ferrari, and this might be a Volkswagen Golf or something like that. But if you really want to get into it and really feel the pleasure of using a great tool, consider getting one of these hand-stitched French rasps. If you want to go on a budget and just stick with this, you're going to need some sort of concave file. So you can get the Iwasaki rasp. I think they're 20 or 30 bucks. So if you can get this on sale for maybe under 50 bucks, you can get something pretty functional, or for double that, you can get something that's a joy to use. One additional note is I did try the Gramercy hand stitch rasp, and I just didn't feel them grabbing the wood as much as these French rasps.